Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. So, in today's episode, we have got two Daniels here. Some of you might know Daniel Storr. He's decided to hop in for an episode, but another unfamiliar Daniel is Daniel from Smilelykumeenit Coils. He's sitting, to my side, other side over there. So you'll be able to see him there. And this show is specifically about flavor builds. But of course, we're going to talk about a few things around wire and coils and that kind of thing. But before we jump into that, Daniel, Smiley, if you can just tell us where your journey started with Smilelykumeenit. Smilelykumeenit is a coil company for those of you who don't know. Just want to see, he makes these little coils. He makes these little coils for us. A lot of the people here in South Africa uses them. I'm sure some of the Americans are quite used to buying their coils like this. But Smiley, if you can just take it away, talk about your journey. Where did it start?
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me on the show. Basically, I had a commercial Kangatech mod. That thing broke on the 32nd day of the 31-day warranty, So I was like, let me get something that won't break, and I got a mech mod, and have mech mod must build. So yeah, I had to start building, and yeah, from there I found I had an affinity for it. I didn't have a drill at first, so I was making braids, and then I slowly approached a couple stores and got them out. But it was only really this year that I've got some good traction in the market there with my new packaging, and like I have a more comprehensive range now than what I was offering before. So now I'm making aliens mostly. The braids are still available on the side, and I'm just making coils every day. That's it.
Is this a full-time job now, or do you do something
Yeah,
on the
for
side?
sure.
Really?
No, yeah, it's my job full time. I supply like 10 different stores, one of them being vape shop. Don't know if I'm allowed to plug stuff like that, but
No, please
I
go
mean they
ahead.
have so they have lots of stores, and it keeps me busy. I'm always looking for more stores. Eventually I'd like to be able to employ someone else to help. I mean, the vaping industry is an industry after all, so it's definite opportunities. And yeah, I mean, I'm working every day on this,
Yeah, absolutely. So what did you do before?
Before I studied architecture, and I don't know, like if you want to hear, I don't know if this is the architecture vlog, but so I saw the gap and I took it. It was just, the way things worked out.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we can jump into some of the things, that I certainly, had questions about. We loosely discussed it in the group before the show, but I think we'll go into more detail now. I had some questions around wire quality. You also had some stuff to say about that, and you had some strong thoughts about what is good wire and what isn't. And I guess if you can just let us in and all our viewers in about what your opinion is about cheap wire, and what is quality wire.
Yeah, okay. What is cheap wire is how long is a piece of string kind of situation. But for me, I've used a couple brands. When I started making coils, there was the UD 30-foot rolls available, and when the 34 gauge of that came out, I was like, oh my god, 34 gauge, this is amazing. And I was like braiding with that and just cutting my fingers on the thick wire. And it's a bit of a nightmare. But from there, I needed bigger spools as I was starting to ramp up like into a production sort of level. So I got Twisted Messes wire, and that cost here locally at the time, it was $450 for a 500-foot roll. And so that's like, it was okay because the 30-foot rolls were $100 each. So it's like, which is the cheap wire there?
But you were only making for yourself at that point, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was making for myself, but shortly after that, I started braiding. And from like, if you go back through my Instagram posts, it's like 3 years ago that I started making coils. We were discussing this in the group, but I've never actually done a round wire build, just a plain round wire build. Like I need to get on that just to try it. But yeah, so the first things that I made was like a Clapton with my friend who was like, yeah, you can get a mech mod, and he showed me how to do that, like not explode. So almost right after I started building, I had something presentable that I took to a store to try and sell. So what is cheap wire? For me, it's like, it's important to know, like, it must come from a reputable company. So there was that scandal with Kidney Puncher, which I found quite funny. But I used Lightning Vapes wire. They're based in the United States. And I found them online when I was looking for, like, where can I get bigger rolls of wire? Found them. Their prices are super solid, especially, I mean, compared to everybody. So I got that wire. I started making aliens. And because aliens it's quicker to make than a braid, which takes really long. So I started making aliens commercially, and I was using that Lightning Vapes wire. So Lightning Vapes had a fire, I think it was 2 years ago at their factory, and when I needed stock, I couldn't get. So I got Kidney Puncher wire in the same sort of denominations. Like I actually have some left here. This is the stainless steel, which I just used to Clapton onto, and then I throw it away. Sorry, Kidney Puncher. Many people, when I got the Kidney Puncher, noticed the difference in the vape they were getting. They said like they didn't have, the flavor was muted, the colors weren't as crisp, and then there was that scandal with Kidney Puncher where people found I think it was the nichrome was actually Canthal or something. I mean, I just saw there was some kind of scandal, and I was like, okay, thank you, Lightning Vapes, for supplying me with good stuff. So what is cheap wire? For me, it's about coming from a reputable company. China's known to be not reputable, just in terms of, they do things cheaply so that things can be done cheaply. I'm just from the Lightning Vapes does a whole lot of testing on all their stuff in-house, and it's not like it's milled somewhere else and smelted somewhere and then milled somewhere. It's all done in-house, so there's not that discrepancy in whatever the chain of custody or whatever it is. Yeah. So what is cheap wire? Don't use China wire.
So this stuff, right? But basically.
The demon killer, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a demon?
No, this stuff was
stay alive. Yeah, people hate that stuff. It comes in a nice box. It's twisted up, but you can do that at home. And how much does that cost?
What is this now? 140 or 150 on special? So
on a roll?
On a roll. I thought this was reputable because of the box. Like that packaging is like, it's pretty good, right? I'm more a Canthal person, but as far as I know, you only use N80 for your commercial coils.
Yes, the stock you'll find in someone's store is N80. Typically, that will last the longest, and it's the easiest to use, really, because stainless steel and there's nichrome 90 now, which is quite an interesting wire, or type of wire. It's the flavor for me is like a bit better, and it's lower resistance, so you get that faster ramp up, which is nice. So if you pulse those too high, you not only lose the colors, but the flavors like dips down. And so that makes it a bit more complicated for me to just, get them out there to people, and for people to just install them, pulse them, and have a good consistent vape every time.
Is that for both? Sorry, Smiley, is
for
that
stainless steel and nichrome 90?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is they just burn hotter, faster, or something like that?
Well, it's like, I think it's something to do with oxidation. or oxidation is that, I don't know what, I'm not a scientist, so it's something, it's oxygen. When you pulse it too high, the metal becomes temperamental and it oxidizes. So yeah, you don't want that. And then for Canthal, that can rust. So it's like over time, someone's going to have a rusty coil, and I don't really need that if someone doesn't ask for it.
I think what's important is, and I know from your coils, which I've used, is that they last quite a long time. Like,
sure,
a lot of people jump in thinking they're going to need to change their coils every week. But,
yeah, they had like a commercial. Yeah.
Yeah, with quality coils, you could just clean them and rewick, and then you can have coils for six months.
You can have them for that long. I don't really know like what's happening inside a coil at that age, and like with constant burning, constant juice. I mean, there is sugar there, so something could live, but I don't know. So I recommend 2 months, 6 weeks, 2 months, like get new coils. But there's people with like 7-month coils, 7-month-old coils, they say like that they're fine. I don't know exactly if that's okay, if they're tasting correctly, but you know, if it tastes fine, then just keep going. I mean, that's like quite a good thing to like. That's like a life thing for me. If it tastes fine, you got to keep going, because you can taste down to something to 3 parts per million, by the way. So it's like if you taste something funky, it's there, and if you can't taste something funky, it's probably not there. So,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that. I stretched them a little bit further than 2 months, though, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, there's 7-month-old sets. People are still happy. Like, it's not like they're on a budget. They're still happy. They haven't considered it. Like,
I'm doing my flavor testing with coils that's older than 2 months, by the way. I should probably switch them over. You know?
I don't know. It's like sometimes I open my tank and it's been like a week or like nearly 2, and it's like it's disgusting in there, but the flavor was fine. So it's like I don't know.
So I also had some of your coils. I had a set of aliens, and one of them is still in here. This is month 3 so far.
Okay.
And something I don't know.
Is that the MTL?
No, the MTL I had bad luck with. The MTL,
yeah, I remember that.
On the pulsing, I melted half of the coils.
Yeah, that happens with the tiny ones.
Pull off a few wines, but I lost a lot of flavor on that coil, which was very disappointing because I never actually got to use my MTL with your coils.
We'll sort that out someday.
I had it with 2 wines on there, or 2.5 wines, but I mean that's not enough.
Yeah,
this one is still going strong, and I mean it's flavor. It's awesome. I love these the aliens. I've also had the demon killers and some kidney puncher wire and some Canthal and some stainless steel for testing a bunch of stuff. I went through the temperature control and got my first mech as well. You've got to play with the wire setup, space coils, wire types, and all of that. So I agree on everything that you said. You definitely can taste the difference with the Chinese stuff. It's just muted flavor for some reason, and it is because of the grade of material that they're using, I'm sure. But yours, the Nichrome aliens last longer, definitely, for some reason. I mean, I just cleaned them the normal way, you know, the dip and under the water and salt off anything. Yeah, that's that. Every weekend go. Something funny, exactly the same as with you. I'll vape it for a week and I know it's looking gunky. I know it, but the flavor is fine. So I've been going for a week. The week, I mean, by the time I reweek, you can literally just and take two pieces of wicks out. But the flavor is still good. So something's on with the coils.
Yeah, that's the aliens. They wick themselves. So it's like, even when there's that gap in the middle, as long as it's getting some on the end, it pulls. You know, like everybody's seen that Twisted Messes video, right? It's like it drops on the end, and then you see it go.
Yeah. What's to do with the complex builds like that? You know, these, I call it alien tail predator. You know, these fancy dragon skin back tail Viking nose type of coil.
Okay.
Do they really make that bigger difference for the effort and the amount of work that they put into those coils? I understand some of them are purely like for art and photos and stuff, but I mean, take a advanced alien. Does it really make that big a difference in vapor? Like all quality, and obviously, the bigger the coils and your wattage, you'll get more clouds. But the flavor, would it really be noticeable to compare one of the complex coils?
Well, I mean, that's like another thing where it's like I've never done a round wire build, so it's like I don't know that kind of vape in a way. But and I've also never done builds like Coil Smith, who's local. Like he does crazy builds, and it's like, I mean, I know from making a Staggerton, which is like a Staggerton is a mission, and to make those kinds of Staggertons that he's making must be like ridiculous. So like I don't even try that. It's just like I don't have time for that. And I don't know if the flavor is going to be like so much better. For me, it's like you get flavor accuracy. So it's like when you get that demon killer, you're not getting flavor accuracy. So you're getting that muted flavor, and it's like, I don't know, it tastes like you like vaping through like a cushion or something. It's just not there. And then you get, if you get decent wire, it's going to just be accurate flavor. It's like you're heating it off a clean surface, and so you're just going to get that juice in your mouth and you're going to taste it. Where complex build, I think, makes a big difference is sort of how the flavor comes out. So you get like your top note and your bottom note and your middles. So like let's just take a, I don't know, jam monster raspberry. Like you got your butter, your toast, and your jam. And then on some coils, you'll find you get like way more fruit. And then on others, you get almost like muted fruit. And then, I mean, muted fruit, it's like the fruit is lower, but you get way more butter and toast. So it's like, I don't really know how that works or like why that works, but it definitely happens. Yeah.
I just have one question. When it comes to a general coil, in your preference as a coil maker who makes and knows of all the advanced coils and all the fancy stuff, what is your preference, and just why would that be your preference? I mean, I'm sure you've got one favorite coil. You just slap into everything and that's that.
Sure.
Regardless of what else there is and what you know.
I mean, like, okay, so I do use a lot of mechs. Like I've got this noisy cricket here. I've got 3 noisy crickets actually. This is version 1. So I use 3240 aliens in here because they have that high resistance. And yeah, I can do a little.
I must say, I expected you to be running a crazy 300 watt mod or something, you know, with crazy super coils pumping out the sides. That's what I was expecting you to be running in your own.
Oh no, I mean, like, okay, so watch this thing, how it hits.
Instant,
yeah. So and that's like at 0.6.
Yeah, that's the OG, eh? Version 1.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then I have like this noisy. This one has Canthal Core 3240s, and then I mean I'm running a Petri 22 tank on there, so you know it's got to. That's why I'd use Canthal, because it doesn't ramp so hot, and then like it's not going to burn the cotton in the tank, because always in the tank you need like less temperature than in a dripper.
You know, I think a lot of people in, you know, the DIY realm almost doesn't really pay attention to what really is going on from a wire perspective. But because I started, you know, looking at hardware, and I was way more interested in hardware, kind of coils were, you know, went side by side with the hardware scene, you know, so everybody's always talking about their hardware and they're always showing off what coils they're running in their hardware, you know. In the DIY scene, that's completely not talked about whatsoever. So, you know, in the DIY scene though, we do have a lot of conversations about what is the best RDA out there. And, you know, there is then interest in hardware. But, you know, it really doesn't help if you have, for instance, a Hadley 22, and it's made for flavor, but you're running demon killer wire in it, right?
Sure.
and thinking, hey, I'm getting the best flavor. I think this is really what it's all about, is just, is just pairing those two. You still need to think about coils and that kind of thing.
The most important thing in any vape is airflow. Okay, so it's like, if your coil is too big, if it's too close to the like airflow holes, then you're not going to get that the air going around. It's just like, if this is the airflow hole and this is the coil, like there's no space for the air to come past, like, and you need that. So the most important thing is space in your dripper, and then the air has to hit the coil. So there's no point putting like a huge coil like that's 22 mils long in your Hadley just because it's a 22 mil atomizer. Like you just need to fill that little middle bit and then keep going. Put cotton so that doesn't dry out so fast. So I definitely recommend the frame staple aliens because it's 5 wraps. There's a lot of wire inside there with all the ribbon, and the 40 gauge alien also, like no one does it smaller than that. And that helps a lot. And sorry, back to the thing about the complex coils, like how it changes the vape. Like I think it does make the vape a lot smoother than a round wire build, because that the wire over the top kind of like buffers through the popping action of the cores. So where you get that like popping kind of vape with the round wire build, which I've never used, it's like just from what I kind of imagine, like you're getting that direct heat, and then like through a complex build, you get the heat from the middle that passes through like the finer sieve of the alien, and that smooths it out. Yeah, so if you're chasing flavor, it's like you probably want to, it depends on the kind of drag you want. Okay, so that's why I choose a wire. So if you want a longer drag, go with the Canthal, the higher resistance, slower ramp up. If you want to have a shorter drag, then definitely go with like the Nichrome 80 stainless steel. And here, titanium is also really, really good for flavor. But that, you got to know what you're doing with that. Apparently, I've never used it. You can't just straight pulse it. You got to like look after that thing. But I've heard that's really good. So yeah, I am planning on getting a website to start supplying wire, because there's definitely a lack of that. People like are always looking for ribbon and just longer rolls of finer wire for better price. And yeah, I think that getting some lightning vapes in the country, like other than the wires that I make, will help. And yeah, that's the other reason that I make coils, is because like people always complain about the demon killer and stuff being inconsistent, and I make something that's consistent every time. Like you get the same thing in the jar, same resistance.
In DIY, you get a lot of people who are sort of profile buffs. They're tobacco buffs, or they dessert people, or they're bakery people, or whatever. Now there's quite a lot of discussion about this, and theories put forward that if you vape tobaccos, then X type of coil is the best, or if you vape creams, then Y type of coil is the best. Has this been your experience?
That people want that, or
no, that it's actually.
Okay, sorry, that was half a joke. Yeah, so I mean, I always find that fruit flavors are kind of muted. Does anybody else find that? Sorry, it's always harder to get like a good fruit. Okay, I don't know. So I don't know what coils make the best profile flavor, and I don't really believe in like this one will do that one, this one will do that one. I think that temperature is a big thing with flavor. So if you're not hitting the right temperature, you're not going to be getting the right flavor. Yeah, and I don't know how to put it further than that. I believe in flavor accuracy. So it's like if you're get the taste out of your vape that you smell out of the bottle, like that's kind of flavor accuracy.
Okay, now in terms of, again, DIY, a lot of people are developing recipes which may go commercial, but even if they don't, they're going to go out onto DIY sites, which other mixers are going to mix up and so on. Now, okay, it's fine to chase the best flavor in your own personal setup. Obviously, you want your flavor to be as good as possible. But now, if you are developing a juice that 100,000 people are going to mix up and vape. It's going to be in all different stuff. Some of them are going to be in RDTA, some in RTA, some in drippers, some with aliens, some with spaced coils, etc., etc. For somebody who's developing for DIY, what coil would you recommend if they want just a good middle-of-the-road coil that is going to give them a sort of reasonable representation of what that juice is going to taste like, across the board? What it's going to taste like in a wide range of ATIs, at a wide range of power levels. So if you want like a middle-of-the-road DIY development coil, what would you suggest for that?
So I'm guessing like most people in DIY use a regulated single coil setup, and that'd be like a dripper or maybe a tank. So like assuming that it's a dripper, I'd say that they should try the frame stable aliens that I make, but they're the smaller ones. So I make two sizes. The one ohms out single coil at 0.4, which is way higher than like, no one makes coils with that kind of resistance with the frame stable core. Like mine are definitely the smallest. It's like, so I'd recommend that because you can get that low temperature vape, and also an upper end where it's like closer to what you'd have on a mech. And then that would give you the opportunity to see like what someone who's vaping on just like a small little setup, like a Pico, whatever, starter set with not a lot of power or juice, and then juice being like, and then you can pump it up and see what would be like more on that side. So it's definitely a good middle ground with a lot of range. Then just from a durability point of view, those guys last nice and long, and it's not a fiddly kind of wire despite being a small one. So yeah, it'll fit in everything, fits in a Skyline just perfectly between the posts. It's on a 2.5 mil bit, so like plenty space in your chimney chamber, and yeah, like you can't really go wrong with that. And with the low power requirements that it has, it's definitely a winner.
Cool.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, go for it.
Like, do you guys find that something performs better with desserts or fruits, or like?
Yeah, I have a theory.
Tell me.
So, for me, of course, we all started out on canthals, and at that point in time, I was just using canthal until stainless steel came along, and I was just vaping creams. So ice cream bases and strawberry creams and that kind of thing. And as soon as I switched over from canthal to stainless steel, it's almost like the depth of the cream wasn't there.
Well, so what was the fruit popping more?
The fruit was popping more, and the cream was popping less.
Okay.
So that's just the thing. But like you said, that could also be something to do with something to do with the heat. But generally, I think there's more to that. Not like I know a lot about wire, but I would say, like a canthal build, a more complex build, so like a Clapton or alien canthal could be better for your middle notes. And then, of course, stainless steel was the second wire that became a little bit more popular, and that I found was better for the fruity top notes. Okay, and then came along Nichrome. Who else is using Nichrome, or who else believes in the same theory as what I do here?
I tend to agree with what you say, but only on the stainless steel part. I think it's because you've got more control and temperature control. Well, that's where I would be using the stainless steel, or how I was using stainless steel. So I found that the flavor on stainless steel could be better because you basically controlling the wattage, the ramp up, which happens immediately, and then it's actually not a good way to explain it. It's just you control the wattage so that blow is there, how can I explain it? That burst is there, and it heats up immediately, but without the heat. Because in temperature control, you set the heat, so it's still intense, but without that heat. And I personally don't like a hot vape. That 200 watt vapes, which blows your lips off, that's uncomfortable. So temperature control is more controllable and more precise in temperature, depending on what you want. So the other one you mentioned, Theo, on the nichrome and canthal, I agree on. There's definitely a flavor difference.
Stainless steel and canthal, to me, in flavor-wise, are pretty close. I mean, it's just temperature that changes, but in terms of the flavors that come out, I find stainless steel and canthal quite close. I don't really notice a difference between the two.
Of Smiley's Instagram, I'll link that in the description or the comments section below, so you can just check that out. There'll also be a link there to Smiley's E6SA page, or thread, and there you'll find all the different coil types that he does sell, so you can communicate with him over there as well. He's also got a price list, or I think just the option list. Yeah, just the option list down there. So yeah, just wanted to thank Smiley to be on the show and letting us know exactly what the deal is with wire and flavor combined, and what he recommends we should be using in our addies for best flavor. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, it's nice to meet everybody.
Cool.
Yeah. Keep it up the good work.
Thanks.
Thanks for the calls.